Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Edna White, your host of Keeping It Real on Purpose. And today we're going to go into podcasting itself. I have a fellow podcaster with me today from Spirit Calling, and her name, Pamela Downs. Welcome to Keeping It Real on Purpose.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here, Edna. Thanks for having me here.
I am excited for you to be here. So you are one of my first swappers. I love it.
That's
I love it.
awesome.
I love it. I love
Me
it.
too.
So tell us about. I know we were
Mhm.
talking pre-show about spirit calling
Yeah.
and why we're together today. But talk to us about spirit calling and your parts of your business that you have podcasts for.
Yeah. So I have a podcast for my business called Spirit Calling. It's a global online spiritual community that I launched in March of
Okay.
2023. And I didn't
Okay.
know that I was going to be a podcaster. Like it wasn't on my vision board in 2023. Like let's create a podcast this year. It happened
Yeah. Yeah.
organically, and you hear that often with people.
Yeah.
They get a call,
Yeah.
they get like a yearning inside, a little spark to do
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. Yeah. So
Absolutely. I
yeah.
know I've done the same thing. I think the same way. It's like I never wanted to do all this marketing and stuff like that. And it just grew. When I say it grew organically, somebody must have poured growth formula.
That's what happens when you live on
Yeah, it just
purpose.
blew up, right? It just blew up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel the experience with you. I feel it with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you got that energy, right? So when you tap into
Yeah.
that inspiration, we call it tapping into spirit, when you're
Yeah.
living your life on the path that you are intently
Yeah.
meant to live, and that's
Yeah.
living in passion, that's living in purpose, that's living
Yeah.
in your highest vibration, then you
Oh yeah.
attract everything to you because you're living in the you're moving in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's what
Absolutely.
we
I
invite
told
people.
my yesterday's guest, I told them, I feel like I have tapped into the ability to call on the universe for anything. And I
Yeah, you
feel
can.
like I'm five. That feeling relates to an only feeling that I ever had when I was five. And I can
Mm-hmm.
remember it distinctly. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was had so much confidence. I wasn't afraid of anything, and I just believed whatever I wanted was there. Even if I heard the word no from my parent, I was getting it. I was getting it. I knew it, and
Yeah.
I was so I said I'm really. I now I know what my purpose is. I probably was living it, but I was so covered with stuff,
Mm-hmm. Yes,
in the
with
past,
stuff.
and that
Hmm.
I didn't realize it was there. Everybody else realized it, but I didn't realize it. But
Right.
now I'm like, whew, loving it,
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that
And
the
when
same
you're
for you?
five, well, when you're five, you are so, they say like the veil closes down when you get a little older. I think it's like 9 to 11, and you get into the school
Yeah,
system and you start
yeah,
believing the things
yeah,
that you're taught to believe, and you're not
yeah,
connected to that spark of
yeah,
of just believing and understanding and being in everything. And so
yeah,
for you to
everything.
recognize and remember that at the age of five is
Yeah,
remarkable, because
yeah,
that's how strong it feels. That's how
yeah.
wonderful it is, right?
It
That we'll
is.
never
It
forget
really,
that.
really is.
Yeah.
I never thought that. I never
Mhm.
thought that. I've always been spiritually inclined. My mother always tell me, you knew about God in the Bible before there was a God in the Bible. That He
Yeah.
shared it with you. And I was like, what do you mean? She goes, you wrote. I have a letter, and she showed it to me. I have a letter that I wrote to God. And I was like, because I had moved from down south
Mhm.
up here, so well, looking back, it was culture shock. Like I was the
Yeah.
first black in my, and
Mhm.
they didn't know what braids were. They were like, didn't know why my skin was this. I was the first black in my area, so it was like a
Wow.
little culture shock for me. And I was like, God, get me out of here. Now I'm writing to God, like I don't like it here.
God, get
I
me out of
packed
here.
my bag, I packed my bag, and I'm like waiting for. I'm sitting on my roof now because the way my
Oh.
it has like a little area that you can sit on. I'm sitting there like a Mary Poppins situation. I'm sitting there
Mhm.
waiting on God. My mother's like, comes in the room. Where are you? Comes to find me, and she looks out. What's the matter? I was like, I'm waiting for God to pick me up. I don't want to be here. And my mother, I mean, literally, she's like, that was the first time I knew that you were going to be gigantic. I knew it.
Mhm.
I just knew that
Mhm.
you were not mine.
Yeah.
I was just linked to you,
Right.
but you were not mine. You
Right.
were God's all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I get it. I get it. I love
Yeah.
that your show is called Spirit Calling. What's your other show? I want to know that. What's your other show?
Yeah, so every month we have a community call called Founding Awakeners, and I just changed the name actually to the
Oh,
Awakeners Hour. So my whole purpose
okay.
and passion is to help people on their spiritual awakening journey. Because when
Okay.
I was very connected when I was a little kid too, but through art and music. So I was in that
Ah,
elevated like vibration where that's how
yeah,
I escaped like a tumultuous childhood.
yeah,
I escaped it by finding God through that inspiration and kind of I never really
yeah,
identified that until now, until I'm a 53-year-old woman
yeah,
and I think I made that realization
yeah.
last year. Like I wasn't escaping, I was connecting to God. And
Yep,
because
yep.
it was like a safe,
Got that.
loving space that you felt happy in and you could,
Yeah,
escape whatever was happening outside of your in your physical reality.
absolutely.
Um, but when I was going through my spiritual awakening, I did exactly what you just said. I was covered by all the things. I had the marriage, I had the house, I had the kids, I had the business, I had all the things that were occupying my life, my attention, my
Yeah.
energy for years and years and years until like suddenly these big questions started sparking answers that were bigger than
Mm-hmm.
what I was ready that I wanted better, bigger answers to these questions.
Right.
Like the
Me too.
status
Yep.
quo wasn't working anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a place, I didn't have a community, I didn't have anyone to like talk and share these ideas with. And so I was alone during my spiritual awakening. So that's why I created Spirit Calling. That's why I created my podcast so that I could have conversations with other people like this and that other people could listen to
Mm-hmm.
them and feel like they have like a person, like they are like, oh, they
Right.
went through what I'm going through or what I went through. And I'm not crazy. I'm not different. I'm not, you know, unique or weird. I'm actually like somebody else that maybe thought the same things or is feeling the same things or
Yeah.
having the same
Absolutely.
experiences, right? So that's what my podcast is about. My podcast is about basically spreading, you can call it, great spirit, God, universe, Allah, whatever you want to call that divine creator
Mm-hmm.
being. We are all part
Right.
of that being. Just like you at
Right.
5 was part of God. We are all God sparks. We are all part
Oh
of
yeah.
that. So
Absolutely.
that's my
Absolutely.
passion is to just podcast about that and talk about it
Yeah.
all the
I get
time.
it. I get it. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I get that. I know that I wasn't raised in church, but when as a childhood sexual abuse, survivor,
Hmm.
I thought the next step was to get involved in a community such as that. I stayed in that community about
Wow.
26 to 28 years. Became an evangelist,
Wow.
co-pastoring, created one of the first groups for trauma children from 9 to 15 and for trauma in the community.
Wow.
But I got out of it because I wasn't close to God. It
Hmm.
took me a
Hmm.
long while because I started realizing, hey, I'm not any closer than I was when I got here at 18.
Right.
I'm not any closer of figuring it out.
Hmm.
My children, ages 12, 18, and 16, were smarter than me. Like, Mom, don't you see this? Like, I'm like,
Hmm. Well, you were finding
they
your
were
path.
like, right.
Yeah.
So the minute they started sharing with me, I started releasing them and said, no, you don't have, it's your decision now. You have to do something productive, but this is your decision now. I can't, and I kind of left. So I say all that because I was going to school for a ministry license. That's what I thought I was supposed to be doing. Yeah, you know how that is, right? When you do all that crazy stuff.
You're
And
trying to find it though. You're just trying to find what you're supposed
you're
to
trying
do
to dig, you're
after
trying
all
to
of it.
unearth these things. You're trying to just
Right.
find these things that you're supposed to be doing.
Right,
And
right.
so I was going to Reverend Floyd Flake's. They had a satellite office for Nyack College. I was going there, and he walks in and he says, hello to the class because we're freshmen. Hello, blah blah blah. And he puts this book down that's called Into the World,
Mm,
and it was about all religions, every religion. He says, now I want you all to go out. He said, this is the first time I've ever walked into a class and said anything. But I want you all to go out, everyone in this room today, go out. And your assignment when this semester's over is to report back to me every religion, but I want you to visit it. And
I love
in this
that.
book, in this world, it will show you that everyone's connected without all the
Yeah.
other stuff to one being.
Yes.
I was floored because he was either Baptist or something like that, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, that was a
And when
big
I did
concept.
that was deep, right? It was
Mm-hmm.
deep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was my first release from, okay, now I'm figuring it out, like
Mm-hmm.
this is happening for me. So where do I stop first? What do you think I stopped? It was just so ironic because I was like trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped at Hebrew, the Hebrew,
Uh-huh.
going in the synagogue. And so I always had this question about sin. I said, so
Mm-hmm.
what is sin? And so he looked at me. He said, do you want me to tell you what it means for the Hebrew or for the Western world? I said, I'm in your synagogue. Tell me what it means to you, right?
Yeah.
Girl, it means nothing else. You know what it means? To fail, to miss the
Mm.
goal.
Mm. Wow. Now, how
It
many
scared
religions
me.
did you see? How many religions
I
did you research?
saw about 7. I
That's
went
amazing.
in and talked to the leaders about 7 different ones.
That's
7. And
absolutely
but
amazing. Yeah.
that frees you to, and everybody's you think that people, well, I'm going from your spirit calling. You think that people are or leaders, or you see these different religions, and you think,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you don't know about them, but you have this perception already. But they
Mm-hmm.
really are just on an assignment, like we are, literally on an assignment, just to lead us, no matter what direction it is
Mm-hmm.
or what cause it is, just to lead us to that relationship with God. And somehow
Right.
we get caught off because we start to idolize the people instead of what we really came there for.
Right.
It's
And then,
and we're really hurt people. We go to the hospital, and I thought about that. We go to the hospital. We don't stay all day. We don't stay. We may stay all day, but we don't stay there all our lives.
right.
We get
It's
fixed
situational.
for the
Yeah.
trauma,
Mm-hmm.
not for life stuff, but for the trauma we go there for, and we leave with the
Mm-hmm.
prescription.
Mm-hmm.
That was my mistake. I stayed at the hospital too long. So why do I say all that? Spirit calling, ladies and gentlemen, Pamela's. I'm telling you, I love the title, Spirit calling, because that's where it's at. That's the truth, ladies and
That's where
gentlemen.
it's at.
I'm gonna
It's
stop
truly
talking
where
now
it's
because
at.
she got me so excited. I'm gonna stop talking right now.
Well, I love what you said. I'm gonna talk to what you said because I think it's really important for everyone to really understand that when you are a person of God, when you are a person of God, to be of is encapsulated. It is part of your being. You act, you think,
Yes.
everything about it is God. When you are that, then there's no divide, right? So
No.
every single religion on our planet, and I'm not being negative, but they are taught to fight. So this is my belief. This is
Yeah.
your belief. Is not right.
Yep.
And so when
Yep.
you're, I love the story of this pastor, our teacher, because if you are a person of God, then you see God in everything, and you understand, and
Yeah.
you're able to connect the dots in
Yeah.
that way, right? And
Yeah.
I think that our world is so conditioned to fight about every single thing, and that's in religion, that's in every part of our life, that's in politics, that's in, you're not naming me the right thing, or they're like everyone wants to fight, and this conditioning to
Exactly. Gotcha.
fight needs to go away, because if we live
Exactly.
with God at the forefront of everything, I'm not saying religion, I'm saying God, the energy of love,
Yeah.
if we live with
Exactly.
that at the
Exactly.
forefront, then look at how much we can change, just if we do it just in our one walk that we walk every day,
Yeah.
everyone who's
Yeah.
listening, you know what I mean? Um, but I got a calling. Like, I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard spirit calling. I heard spirit
Yeah.
calling. I woke up and I wrote it down. That's how much I believe in this platform that I built, because God told me to build it. God said there's
Yeah.
going to be an
Yeah. It's
event that
great.
happens. Yeah, he said there's going to
Yeah.
be an event that happens. People are going to need a safe place
Yeah.
to land. They're not going to know who they are and what this world is that they believe in, and they need somewhere to like a safe haven. And that's what I was told to
Yeah.
create a portal. So it's not a church, it's a community. It's, but church is a label,
Yeah.
but it's a place where people can go and find other people like them. Um, I
Yeah.
was going to
Yeah.
also say, now, have you ever heard of the Anunnaki? Have you
I'm
ever heard of
sorry.
the Have you ever heard of the
Say it again.
Anunnaki? Anunnaki. They are they go
No.
back way beyond the
Wait.
Egyptians, and there's a lot of religion that
Right.
sometimes talks about it. And sometimes in the African American culture, I've talked to people that they've heard myths and legends of the Anunnaki, and so that's a really fascinating conversation too. I always have to ask when we talk about religion.
Yeah, they might. They I might have because um, there was another group. I might not remember the name, but like very far back, didn't have like Bibles or anything, but all of them seemed to live the spiritual way, and all of them seem to have all like say the the things like the seven what is it called, the Beatitudes, right? Were
Hmm.
living the Beatitudes, but did not even know that that even existed. Like, oh, it's written down. Like they had nothing to even say that. But I know that that story, I read that story somewhere, and that's why I was looking for something. It was always inside, because I'm
Yeah.
always looking for voices. We always we talk about voices, right? And we say
Hmm.
spirit calling, it's not out here. It wasn't calling you from out there. It was calling from in
Right.
here. Hey, pay attention.
Yes. Right.
It wasn't these ears. It was
Right.
literally. It's not these ears. It's the
Right.
inside that energy is like boom, boom, boom. Don't you feel that? You feel that? Like what is that? And it's the
Hmm.
noise. And this because the spirit says it speaks softly.
Hmm.
You don't ever go
Hmm.
resounding noise. Why do you hear resounding? Because it's
Like in the
inside of
movies.
you.
Roar, roar, roar.
Yeah. It's inside of you. That's why it's
Right.
making noise. It's not on the outside. Never
It's
on the
shaking you up.
outside.
Shaking things
Yes,
up a little
yes,
bit. Yeah.
yes,
But what,
yes. Always
like,
shaking it up.
yeah. And so why did you start your podcast though? Tell me why you started your podcast.
So, I'll tell you. I started it because I was going through a myriad of things. It was 2019, and I was thinking all these things that was going through, all these things that the universe was bringing to my table to figure out.
Yeah.
And it was real friendships, real relationships. It was being real with yourself, being like taking off the facade of, faking it till you make it.
Yeah.
And it was all those things sitting right before me. And I said, keeping it real, on purpose. And literally, I had to keep everything real. Now, when I turned 45, there was a myriad of other things that was happening, that my last name wasn't my real last name. My mom was hiding me from my father and all this other stuff. And it
Ooh.
kind of, it was just all this stuff, right? And I was about to go to jail. And I was like, because of the names, and
Oh my
I
goodness.
promised myself that day after all of it was over, I said, I will be as honest and as truthful as I possibly can.
Hmm.
Because now I know I have inherited lying.
Right.
So
That
it
energy.
was purposeful.
Hmm.
Yes, it was purposeful that when even I could feel myself getting ready to lie. Like instead of saying like you're getting out of work, right? Oh, I don't want to go to work
Right.
today, so I'll call in sick. You start coughing on the phone, you're faking it. Then I was like, listen, I would call up and say, hey, I want to use one of my sick days because of this or that, and they'd be like, you're telling us the truth? I said, yeah, I'm not sick. I'm just
Yes,
want to
I'm
use one of my
speaking.
sick days. Because I thought about like if you're sitting there going and you're doing, guess what? The next my mouth
Hmm.
was very powerful.
Was
That's what I
bringing
learned in
that
that
to you.
instance. My
Yes.
words were what was creating all the ruckus.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
wasn't up here. It was the
Right.
mouth that was causing all the ruckus. Nobody was causing ruckus. It was me. I was
Yeah.
creating it.
You wanted to sit in your truth. You wanted to speak your truth, sit in
Yeah.
your truth, live in your truth.
Sit in it.
And
Yeah.
that whole
And I
energy of
and that's the
truth.
space I've been in,
Yeah.
taking off a lot of the, peeling like an onion and crying on some days and
Yeah.
happy on other days. But
Yeah.
really
That's good
being
though.
honest and truthful with myself. So
Yeah.
that's what I wanted. So I culminated talking to real estate brokers, which I am, entrepreneurs, which I am, and authors, which I am. So I
Mhm.
talked to them and I asked them really deep down, why did you do what you do? Come on. I don't want it candy coated. I want it the real gut truth. What's your real challenges? And help us out here because we're seeing the fluff. We've always seen fluff.
Mhm. Mhm.
Even if we didn't have it on the internet, they taught us in real estate, put on a big watch, dress real
Right, right, right.
nice, so it looked like
Facade.
you're selling
Yeah.
real estate.
Mhm.
It was
Mhm.
such a lie. You riding a hoopty and you're trying to look like you get out of the car dressed like that. Those two things don't match. They just
Right.
don't
They
match,
don't go to,
okay?
they're not in alignment. Yes. Yes.
They don't.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
so I kept, I thought about it and I was like, keeping it real on purpose. That's what I'm doing. That's what I want everybody around me connected to me
Mhm.
to do
Mhm.
because
I
I
love that.
I learned to keep it real on purpose.
Mhm. And then you
So
saw your
that's it.
life change.
That's what
I'm
happened.
sure you saw your life
Oh
change
yeah.
because when you shift that
Oh my
energy
gosh.
and you stand in your
Change.
truth, yeah, you stand in your
Yeah.
truth. Like
Change. It's not even a
if
word.
truth, yeah,
It's not
if
even a
truth
word.
was, yeah, if truth was something that was kept from you, was
Hmm.
like you said, your name was changed and it
Yeah.
wasn't your real name. There were things that were created, ways of being that you were living that you didn't even create, that you
Yeah.
were regaining the power on that. So that
Yeah.
power shift, that dynamic shift shifts everything. It just completely turns your
Yeah.
reality
It
upside
does.
down because
It
you are a
really, really
manifester,
does.
you are a creator, you are an energetic being. You
Yeah.
vibrate at a frequency and you are a match to whatever frequency that you put out into the universe.
That's
People don't
beautiful. Yeah.
understand that. They don't understand that.
Sure.
So,
Absolutely.
can you
Absolutely.
imagine when you're not living in truth? When you're living in a
Oh
vibration that
God,
is
you are
not in
not
alignment?
vibrating nothing.
No. No,
You're not vibrating
you're
anything.
not getting what you want because you're not putting
No.
out what you really want because it's not
No.
true.
And it's no, it's all around. It's third world
Mhm.
country,
It's
whatever. If
everywhere.
you're first world, whatever. It's everywhere,
Yeah.
and people don't realize is when you appreciate what you have and use what you have where you are in your
Right.
space, you've got everything you want. It's the
Right.
concept. Do what I need more. It's a concept
Right.
of what I need, but it's not. It's literally people ask me, well, how much do you make? And I'm like, well, if
Mhm.
you're thinking that I make $15,000 a month, or no, not a month, but a week, you scratch that one.
Mhm.
If you think I'm making 15,000 a month, you scratch that because
Right.
I know what it takes to make that. I'm not
Right.
willing to kill myself
Right.
or sell my soul to get that. So how
Right.
about that? So I know what I need. I know what makes me comfortable. I don't equate to everybody's numbers. I don't.
Yeah, it
And
doesn't
I
matter
am so
anyway. It
happy and
doesn't matter.
comfortable. It
Mhm.
it doesn't. It doesn't. And
No.
people don't seem to say,
No.
I tell them, I said, money is the money itself is just a visual exchange to you, but money comes to you in different ways.
Yes.
That's not that
Abundance.
exchange. They're like,
Mhm.
what?
Mhm.
Abundance. That's what it, as I said, abundance.
Mhm.
I went on a trip to Australia. I met someone in when I was in China. He became my guy, my child. Like he was, oh, I love you so much, and like he went back home. He visited one of my co-teachers. He went back home to Australia. He called us up. We was hanging out, and so I had got home by then, and they were back in Australia. So he's like, "Oh, I want you to come down and see us." I said, "Okay, I'm gonna check my budget." He said, "I didn't ask you that." I said, "What?" He paid for my entire trip there and back, the accommodations, the food, everything, and a trip to the Fiji Islands.
Oh my goodness. Now look at that
I was like,
abundance.
oh my God. Now, this is a
Yeah.
kid. He has no children, no nothing. And so we have been talking. I said, I can't repay you for it was just a life altering experience that month. It was a
Mhm.
whole month. And I
Mhm.
was like, I changed my life totally. So
Mhm.
we're still talking, whatever. So finally, he calls me. He's like all excited because we're on a Skype at this time. It was 2013. He's like, I'm calling because I'm so excited. I said, what happened? He said, I became the supervisor of the plant that I'm in, and I got a brand new BMW as part of the package. I was like, what? So I was like,
Ah,
oh, this is so
see?
wonderful, right?
Yeah.
And he says, I said, well, why you? I said, I'm so happy for you. I wish I could send you some. He said, you already sent it to me. I said, what are you talking about? He said, what I did for you helped me
Hmm.
get this.
Yes.
And I was
I like
like,
him. I like him. He's smart.
yeah, I was
It's
I
true.
was like, what? He said, I did it. He said, I felt like I needed to do it. I don't know what that feeling was.
Hmm.
He said, and I obeyed the feeling. I said,
Hmm.
that's the
Oh, I
spirit.
love that. That is.
And that was the spirit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he is so happy right now at this moment. He's amazing. And that's why abundance happens in your life. That you
Yeah,
meet
absolutely.
great people like ourselves along the way,
Yes.
and we both can bless each other, more than bless, connect,
Connect.
energize, and come
Yes.
up with, to
Yes.
collaborate, to help one another. That's what it's all
Absolutely.
about. That's
That's what
really
we're
what it's all
supposed to
about.
be doing. And Edna, listen, because
Yeah,
you chose to live in your truth and because you changed your frequency, you were in receivership of the trip from him. And he
yeah,
felt the desire to give without expectations. So then that
right.
desire to give without expectations came to him. That's how it works. That's how it works. And
Yeah,
people don't understand that.
yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah,
And
I thought about that too, and I know our biggest fault too is not being able to receive, and
mm-hmm,
being traumatic. In trauma, somebody does something for you,
yes,
automatic think that they're
right.
trying to get something from you. But
Yes.
when there's,
Yeah.
I learned in that situation to say thank you. It's just as
Yeah.
simple as that. It's
It
thank
is.
you. Like,
That's
I don't
really
know what to do.
huge.
It's just thank you. It's a
Yes. Thank you.
huge step for
Yeah.
me. Thank
And
you.
it
That's
is.
really it.
And you're a witness to everyone who's listening to you. So everyone who's listening to you right and
Yeah,
I right now, that's what I say. You chose to make decisions that weren't fear based. Basically, you chose not to lie
yeah,
anymore. So you chose to live in
yeah.
truth, which is love. So you chose love over fear.
Right,
Every time you
right.
choose love over fear, you're making a better
That's
choice, a
great.
better choice, a better choice, a better choice, a better choice, a better choice. And your life changes, your vibration changes, your alignments change, your
Yeah,
experiences change, the
yeah.
people you meet change, your everything changes. So I tell everyone that I meet
Wow.
on a
Yeah,
podcast to start choosing love over fear immediately and watch it change. Watch it change your
that's
life
great.
because
That's
that's what
great.
happens. That's what happens. It's really
That's
cool.
really great. That's really
Hmm.
great.
And if
So
you
how
want
can we want to get want you to get some business from my audience, because we want to be connected together as far as truth and spirit all work
yes,
together.
they
So
all
I
they're the
want
same.
you to tell them. I want you to tell us how to get in touch. All my audience, how to get in touch with you,
Okay.
um, and send it out, not and into the waves, into the
Yeah,
world
I'll
of
send it out into
waves.
the waves. If you're feeling like you are sensitive, if you feel things differently than other people, if anything that we said today strikes a little ignition inside of
Yes.
your heart, then you are wanting to learn more. You're wanting to learn more about your spirit. You're wanting to learn more
Yeah.
about the universe. You're wanting to learn more about yourself. That's what
Yeah.
I created my portal for. You get 7 days for free if you come. You can look under the hood. You can participate in everything. You can do courses. You can do sound healings. You can talk to the community. You
Yeah.
can go to events. So it is at spirit-calling.com. And if you think you might be an empath, which I know that you are, and I know that I am, you can, if you don't feel like joining for 7 days, you can sign up for our email list and you can download something that's called the symptoms of an empath. So you can find out if you are an empath. And a lot of people are empaths. They just don't understand why people say, oh, you're
Oh,
too
good.
sensitive, or, oh, you're just that way. You're not, you're you
Yeah.
and you're special. And you just don't understand all the unique gifts and talents and the way that you are and the way that
Oh,
your energy
exactly.
is.
Yeah.
And you get to learn about it.
Exactly.
So you can do that on my
Yeah.
portal. So come and visit us at spirit-calling.com. And
Absolutely.
then some of our
Well, you
handles
heard
on
that.
YouTube
Go ahead.
and spirit
Uh-huh.
underscore calling. And,
Okay.
just look us up on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook. They're all the same handles, spirit dash calling underscore calling. And
Absolutely.
I channel messages from my guides every month for our community members. So they're messages of support and love and guidance to help you live your best life, to help you live your life with ease, to help you live your life
Hmm.
with understanding, so and guidance. So I'm happy to do that. I do that for my community members, and I love it. It's
Awesome.
like we said, we didn't know we were going to podcast. I didn't know I was going to channel angelic beings. It's so cool. So I get to do that. I get to do
It's
that. Yeah.
awesome. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's
It's
awesome. It's
awesome.
awesome.
I'm gonna tell you, like one of my colleagues said to me. I was telling him I was struggling with being on the continue to do podcast and do my business or whatever. He said it is your business. It's just a different platform. You're a public
True.
speaker. You're doing it there. And he was like, I was like, oh, excuse me.
You're
But
like,
I was like,
okay.
all right. So it's just a different platform.
Totally.
Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of our show. We got here real quickly, but because of the information was great, I think that we're gonna see our beloved Pamela again because I want to
Yes.
talk about what it truly means to be an empath. Because there's stuff out there that people are saying they're empaths
Ooh.
because they feel this, but there's a certain feeling, and then
Mm-hmm.
there's also different types of levels of being an empath.
Yes.
So I think I'm gonna have her back to break that down for us one day, real soon, because I really want to know
Okay.
myself.
You got
So,
them back.
any information about Pamela Downs is going to be in the bottom of this video. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and share with other people. And remember, also go on over to Spirit Calling. Go on over. I forgot to name the other one. What's the other one?
The other one is Rev Creative Group. It's a marketing and branding firm.
Rev Creative. Go on over there. Be nosy. Go ahead.
Filthy
All
nosy.
right, this is Edna White, your host, and my esteemed guest, Pamela Downs from Spirit Calling Podcast. We see you real soon.
Thank you, Edna. That was so fun.